Hey everyone, welcome back. This is Mandy, and I'm going to do, I don't know what, I think I'm going to try to do a funky bloom swipe on this 12-inch round. When I went to go do something really quick, I realized I only have one round prepped. It wasn't sanded enough. All the paint I decided I was going to use was thick and needed to be thinned out. So I've really been in here for like an hour just getting ready to paint, so that's annoying. And I didn't have any white pillow paint decanted, and you know, it's the drama that we go through, right? So now that I think who knows if I'm prepared or not, I'm going to show you the colors I think I'm going to use, and I'm going to probably voice over the rest. I haven't done like a funky swipe in a minute, and sometimes they work out, sometimes they're too funky. So I think that's kind of what I'm going for. I brought out a bunch of colors out here. Some of them really need to be mixed up. Some of them I had to rejuvenate. And then I think I'm also going to use some boom gels, Parrotfish Green, Baronia Burgundy, and maybe white. I have cell activator that needs to be used. So I still have my blue black from Atelier. I have my rich gold from Atelier. I have a bunch of that, so I need to use it. And who knows how long I've had this TriArt white cell activator mixed up. So with that in mind, I'm probably not going to use the wax white because if I, you know. So some colors I think you'll see today are fluorescent blue-green from Colourarte. I also brought this really cool pillow paint out here from Sherwin-Williams. This is called Calypso. But I've had it for like forever, like at least a year, and it was not mixed at all. And when I was stirring it, it was too thin, like maybe it wasn't fully mixing. So I just shook it up and put it back. This is, what is this? This is Bashful Blue from Colourarte, but I think that this had been mixed up a really long time, and it was almost clear. It had been mixed up so long, so I think I actually put a drop of Cobalt Aqua or so, Vivid Intense in there. I can't be sure. So that may end up in there. This is Blue Grotto from Colourarte. Same set, the Frosted Sorbet set, very sparkly. This still is too thick, so it may end up in there. It may not make the cut. I keep thinning it down with Jo Sonja. This frosty color would be fun to add a little bit of violet to. I'm not doing it right now, but it would be fun to see how you could tweak it. You know what I mean? These Frosted Sorbet colors have a large particulate, so they're really fun to put. You can see how sparkly, right? They're very fun to put down on the kind of some of your lower layers, so they peek through your other colors. So that's a lot of fun. This is Water Lily Prism Pour, but I darkened it a little bit, so it's a little bit deeper than it normally is. I like that. This is Fluorescent Red Violet. This may or may not end up in there. You know, with swipes, you can get away with doing a lot of colors if you want. This is Interference Violet, also too thick. It may or may not end up in there. This is an old Jo Sonja bottle, and I got this tip from Shelly. I keep refilling it with a little bit of Jo Sonja and water, so like 3 parts Jo Sonja to 1 part water. So when you need to thin down your stuff and, you know, just varnish is not thin enough, it's a little bit better than just using water. That's still a little thick, but it's probably all right for this purpose. Obviously too many colors. This is probably, other than my cell activator, my only potential non-Colourarte color, because it's a really cool color. It's Australian Blue Gum from Matisse. You may see some Rouge Violet because I love it. I know I use it all the time. I hope you're not sick of it. This is from Colourarte. It's just so lovely. And then I had to thin this guy down a lot because he was very thick. But this is Prussian Violet. This is a primary element color from Colourarte. It's a gorgeous blue violet. And I brought in some other colors, but at this point I'm like, okay, I'm over the top. Don't forget there's a 20% off for Colourarte in the discount or the description box, Mandy1120. My cell activator is mixed with Australian Floetrol that I buy in the States at Pixel Paint Designs. And she gives you guys a 10% discount using Mandy10. It's also where I get my boom gels. And she has lots of stuff on her website too. She sells, oops, look, I messed up already. Now I'm gonna have to swipe right here. My gosh. Anyway, she sells like global paints and stuff too. So she has got some cool stuff on her website. So don't forget to check it out. I'm gonna put Interference Violet. I gotta think this through. So I can put everything in a pile here, and that's all right. Or I can line it up and then take this and kind of, you know, I like to take this petal one and kind of go out and then do something else on the opposite side. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So I think what we're gonna do is that. I need to be careful not to have too much of this because it's very thick. So, and if you're not familiar, if your paint is too thick, it will crack when it dries because the bottom will dry faster than the top. So where am I gonna put my other line though? Or is that just gonna be the line? So let me focus on one thing at a time here. All right, so next up, I think we're gonna do a little bit of this, and I already forgot what this is. It's not Bashful Blue. Yeah, it is, Bashful Blue. So, and I think if I do this, I'm gonna have to be kind of sparing with some of these colors. So, I'm gonna do this Prussian Violet. Just said sparing, right? And then I'm like lathering it on. A little bit of this, oh my gosh, what is my problem? A little bit of this blue, whatever it is, blue Grotto. Water Lily. This is probably too many colors. Dude, really? I want to be able to have negative space without having to rescue it later. Then I don't know if I want to use the fluorescent. Well, glutton for punishment, right? Why not a little bit of it, you know? Now we're gonna do Rouge Violet. Probably a little bit too much because it'll be a little bit of a stronger color, but it is transparent, right? So, or translucent, semi-transparent. A little bit of the fluorescent blue green. My goodness, you see what I keep doing here? And I may not do all of these colors on the other swipe, so that way we have, and then I'm gonna do a little bit, this one I think is semi-opaque, so that might give us some cool cell reaction. So now I'm going to, I was gonna load the boom gels on my palette knife with my cell activator, but I think I'm just gonna put a little bit on the top of this little guy. Okay, so this is Parrotfish Green. You can squeeze the bottle. And a little bit of Baronia Burgundy. Guess who didn't do that? All right, so now I'll load my cell activator in a second. And part of me thinks I should go ahead and swipe first, see where it goes, and then see where else we can add, because I can also add with a palette knife. So I think I'm gonna put gold down first because I have the most of it, although that's probably not smart either. So I'm gonna put it on my knife. Yeah, I am gonna put the gold down first. I have the most gold and I have quite a bit of the white. So there's that so far. Kind of want to tap, tap, tap. Make sure we have decent coverage with that. I'm gonna drizzle a little bit of the blue. That way we have more for the other part. And then the white, I'm sorry, I'm not doing good with being on camera for this because I would get it everywhere. So I'll try to show you before we do everything, but this is kind of what we've got. And there's probably too much on here. Okay, so I've got kind of a mess here. So why don't, oh my gosh. So why don't we go, there to start. And then if I don't like this, because I, as you can probably see, smeared really quite a bit into the pillow, I have a place to go. Like I can come over here and say, that didn't go too well, so let me go back across here, or, you know, I don't know, we'll see. So let's let it develop. We're obviously going to have to, oh my gosh, I'm dropping paint. Pop a couple of these bubbles. Colors are really cool together. They're actually not as bright as I thought, because we added that gold and the Baronia burgundy, and it kind of toned it down a little bit. But that's okay, because it'll still be really pretty. And when we spin it out, you know, you never know what's going to come up. So with metallics, they're heavier, so don't freak out if you don't have a ton of cells right at first, because you will have some, and if you push it too far, you'll have huge ones. So sometimes just like let it do its thing, and don't panic. So now we have to figure out composition-wise, and I'm just sharing my thoughts with you guys. So this is okay. It's not my favorite. What's sad is the best part of this is here, and it's gonna fly off. So while we're trying to decide, one thing we could do is shift some of that down so that we can maybe keep more of this. Because the most beautiful cells, unfortunately, seem to go off the end sometimes, and that's what these are right here. They're the cute little tight, perfect cells. We'll end up losing them. So we can try to control that the best we can. It may work, it may not work. So what I'm gonna do though is give us a boost with the pillow paint over here, just to help our chances. Okay, so at this point I decided to go ahead and speed things up and voice over. So I'm kind of showing you what my thought process is, and hang with me because this swipe ends up being a fail. And we have a beautiful bloom that I'm going to do with you, but I wanted you to see the process of this because this swipe had really great potential. There was something off in my mix. I don't know if it's the pillow paint. I'm beginning to think it is the pillow paint. Or the fact that I shifted that design down a little bit, because I was trying to save this part of the swipe that I really loved, and you'll see me try to save it a few times, and then just when I fix the funky weird part, my cells on the first part start to get droopy and floppy, and I'm like, are you kidding me? And I mean, I'd already spent like an hour and a half messing with paint. You know, what I just did was super funky and weird, and at first I was like, oh, that's terrible, but then I was like, no, look at all those cool, like, pillow cells with the gold, and I was like, you know, it's funky, I kind of like it. So I just started to kind of mess with the composition, and I really did like it, and I was like, well, you know, maybe it's one of those, like, Bob Ross situations with the happy accident. So I started spinning it after I had kind of created some movement there, and it, you know, kind of looks like a colorful wave into like some gold. I just thought it was cool looking. And then I looked over and I noticed all of my cells were drooping, and I was like, what? So this part that's on the top of your screen, you may not be able to tell how crazy it looks, but it was starting to look floppy and droopy. So I took some more gold cell activator and I re-swiped over it. And at first I was like, okay, kind of weird, but maybe we can make it work, right? And then I lost really the composition that I kept trying to hold on to in the first place. It just like turned on me, and everything just got droopy and sad. And then I was so upset. So you may not be able to tell from your point of view. And you might be thinking I'm being too picky or dramatic, but those droopy, sad cells really upset me. So hang with me. We're going to do a bloom, and I'm going to use an aqua green cell activator. All right, let's give it a shot. I'm tempted to swap out some of my colors because I don't know what's making this funky. So what I think I'm going to do is just use the colors that I thin down the most closer to the bottom, and maybe use even less of them. So let's see. I did thin down Prussian violet quite a bit. It's still a little bit thick, but I think I'll put it down here. And I also thinned this one down quite a bit. Bashful blue, I think it is. I'm going to use the fluorescent red violet. This one was pretty thick because it was pretty shallow, so we'll go ahead and add that guy down there. And I think we'll do a little bit of I love it when I think I'm going to do a quick 15-minute bloom, and then an hour and a half later I'm still trying to repair something that's not going well. The blue Grotto. So it's probably a little too thick. I am going to use the hairdryer though. Then my modified water lily. since I modified it, it's a nice pop-in pink. So we'll just lather that on. I think we'll do a little bit of, I think I'll do that closer. No, I think we'll drizzle a little bit of the Australian blue gum and the fluorescent blue green. I have thinned this one down a little bit too much. So fluorescent blue green, and now I'm going to do Rouge Violet, Willy Wagtail Black, and then the Cell Activator. And you know, this is, even though this is kind of a deep color, it's going to spread out nicely, so I think that'll be okay. So the idea behind Willy Wagtail Black right underneath it is we're using kind of a bright cell activator, so a pop of a dark color, if it blows out correctly, should give us some nice cell outlines, which would be super cutious with our color palette. At least that's the hope, right? So, and the Boom Gel should respond very well to the cell activator. Sometimes it can respond too well. So, and of course my Boom Gel is all blocked because I'm not a responsible artist. Okay, this is a hot mess out here. Okay. Okay. And my hair dryer I'm using to blow this out is, I think it's in my Amazon shop. It's the Babyliss. It's not the small one, it's the big one. And you know, it's expensive, but it works really well for blooms. So, you know, get mad over and over and over again or use a hair dryer you like, you know what I mean? So. This, I can blow it out myself, but I'm not the greatest at blowing out big ones, and it's already a disaster, so we need good coverage. And we've got a lot of paint on here, so I think we might need more Willy on here. Come on. Normally you don't want to do too much of the whole white or black right underneath the cell activator, but in this case, we've got a lot of paint there, so I think it's going to be all right. All right. I hope that this is not too thin. Oh, it's sinking really fast. So I'm hoping it's mixed up enough. It feels really thick, and I still have paint on my paddle. So if it's not thick enough, it's going to, my cells are going to warp, and I just found a glob of paint, so I'm kind of nervous. All right. Okay. Oh my gosh, I'm spilling everything. Okay. Not the greatest blowout, but let's give it a second. And then I'm going to try to catch where we didn't do I say we, y'all are like, we could have done better than that. But where it didn't do a great job on the blowout, I'm going to try to catch it. Unfortunately, like, it's not a great blowout, but we have so much paint on the canvas, we got to move quickly because it's going to start sinking. And we don't have a lot of, whoa. I mean, the colors are outstanding, right? You should see how much paint I just caught with my shirt. So we need to get this side covered a little bit better. Okay. Yeah, this isn't, I don't think I'm gonna get that covered. So I kind of have to be okay with this however it lands, because I don't think that's gonna get covered. And I just really messed that up even worse than it was. I'm so covered in paint that almost anything I do right now is like not working. So what I wanna do is get it spun out enough so we don't lose our nice cell structure that we have so far. Because in spite of how thin that was, we have some nice cells. We do have some places where they are wonky, but pretty decent coverage, even right here. So I'm gonna move it back to the center and just be okay with the places that I'm gonna give it one more. Oh, I don't know if I want to spin it again because they're already starting to like melt. Let me take off my gloves and show you what I mean. See how they're starting to pull? That can either be because it's too thin, because it was a little thin. I think I'm gonna add some more Amsterdam back into it, or just from spinning. But I'm a little nervous that we have maybe too much paint left on the canvas. Oh my gosh, I forgot I took off my gloves. I'm over here touching this. There's still quite a bit of paint on here. Let me get different gloves. Colors are great. And that's exactly what I was hoping for, was enough of a pop of black to make that green lacing really show. So we're getting that. I just had like a harsh black line I wanted to get over there. So we're getting that, but I don't want to lose this to spin more, and now I'm quite nervous that we don't have enough off. So I may just have to take a chance and let it dry. So if you're ever taking a chance, so for one, I can kind of tell this is a decent amount of paint, but maybe not too much left on. So if you're on the fence when you're letting something dry and you think it might crack, so you can put one of those like food tents over it and then cover it with like a very light something or other. Like I have like an old curtain or something like that, and I'll give it a little bit of a boost and see if it can hold a little bit of dry air out long enough for it to dry and without potentially cracking. So most of the time that works well. I'm a little nervous about some of these parts holding their spot, but if it stayed just like this, I'm perfectly happy. I'm not sure that it's going to, and it may not be how we blew it out, which was faulty. I'm not saying it's not, but it may not be how we blew it out as much as some of the mixture in the paints that I, watered down to use again. So if I could do this again, I would probably be a little less heavy-handed with the black boom gel, although I like the shadowing and stuff that is happening. Love the color palette with the green. I think it's great. So yeah, we'll see how it dries. If it dries funky, I'll thicken up the cell activator. But yeah, let me bring you down. Well, this is definitely 10 times better than my swipe fail. This will look really great under resin. So look at this center. Look how cute that is. Now, let's all tell the painting, dry just like this. Don't act crazy. Don't try to get ahead of yourself and dry funky. This is where I had to get to that edge, so it's not the greatest, but you can tell this is where I started to kind of push the paint beyond its limits. That's where that cell activator is really having some trouble. We have some great tight little cells and lacing right here. Love that. Here it's kind of melting again. That could be spinning too much. It could be a few things. But the colors together are just tremendous. And that's so great right there. Here's another place where I think I tried to fix my blow right there. So I really just need it to not move anymore. So I'm a little nervous. So one thing I will sometimes do, which you really shouldn't do if you're worried about cracking, is sometimes I'll turn on the ceiling fan for just a little bit to get the edges to start to dry enough where the paint doesn't keep trying to move, and then I'll turn it off and cover it up. Sometimes it works, sometimes it still cracks. So it's a risk, but sometimes it starts to dry just enough to stop the wobbling that happens if your paint gets too glossy. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching and hanging out from a failed it to, I think we can call this a nailed it. I think it's all right. Anyway, thanks for watching. Bye.